Every Sunday at 8 p.m., I spend exactly 7 minutes on something that made me wealthier than my MBA. Not meditation, not journaling, not planning my week. This 7-minute ritual has built me a $4.2 million investment portfolio, and I'm about to show you exactly what happens in those 420 seconds. But first, let me tell you about the day I discovered it. March 2019. I'm sitting in a Detroit diner at 11 p.m. with my Uncle Frank. Frank is 68 years old, drives a 2011 Honda Civic, wears the same 3 flannel shirts on rotation, and has never earned more than $62,000 in a single year. He's also worth $3.8 million. I'm 31, making $140,000 as a software product manager, and I have $43,000 in savings and about $95,000 in retirement accounts. I'm doing okay, but I'm nowhere near wealthy. Frank orders his usual black coffee and apple pie. Then he pulls out this beaten-up blue notebook from his jacket pocket. The cover is held together with duct tape. The pages are yellowed, and he says something I'll never forget. "This notebook is worth more than my house." I laugh. He doesn't. Frank opens the notebook and shows me pages filled with numbers, dates, and simple sentences. Nothing fancy. Just lines like, March 3, 2019 bought 15 shares VTI at $142.33. Portfolio $847,234. Feeling nervous about trade war. Another entry. June 16, 2019 bought 12 shares VTI at $151.20. Portfolio $923,156. Factory announced layoffs. Stayed the course. Page after page, going back to 1987. 32 years of the same thing. Every single Sunday evening for 7 minutes, Frank does what he calls the wealth check-in. And that night, he taught me the exact system. Here's what happens in those 7 minutes. Minute 1. Frank opens his brokerage account and writes down his total portfolio value. Just the number. That's it. He doesn't analyze it, doesn't compare it to last week, doesn't celebrate or panic. He just records reality. Minute 2. He writes down one sentence about how he's feeling. Not about the market, about his life. Granddaughter started college, felt tired this week, worried about Jenny's health. This creates emotional context for future Frank to understand past Frank's decisions. Minute 3 through 5. This is the magic. Frank calculates his weekly investment capacity. He takes his checking account balance, subtracts his safety buffer, which is always exactly $6,000 for monthly expenses, subtracts any planned expenses in the next 30 days, and whatever's left over $1,000 gets invested. If there's nothing over $1,000, he invests nothing that week. No pressure, no guilt. The specific number doesn't matter. What matters is the system runs every single week regardless of market conditions, regardless of feelings, regardless of news headlines. Minute 6. If he has money to invest, Frank buys. For 32 years, he's bought the same thing, a total market index fund. In the 80s and 90s, it was actual index mutual funds. Since 2001, it's been VTI, the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF. He doesn't buy individual stocks. He doesn't try to time the market. He doesn't wait for dips. Every Sunday that he has available capital over his threshold, he buys. In March 2020, when the market crashed 34% and everyone was panic selling, Frank's notebook shows he bought every single Sunday. March 15, 2020 bought 8 shares VTI at $119.38. Portfolio $634,289. World ending according to TV. Bought anyway. 4 weeks later, April 12, 2020 bought 6 shares VTI at $139.52. Portfolio $698,450. Still breathing. Minute 7. Frank writes one sentence about his plan for next week. Not goals, not wishes, just the plan. We'll check portfolio next Sunday. That's usually it. Sometimes he adds, need to increase safety buffer to $6,500 due to higher electric bills. The entire ritual takes exactly 7 minutes because there are no decisions to make. The system makes the decisions. Frank just executes. Now here's what makes this truly powerful. After Frank showed me his notebook, I did the math. From 1987 to 2019, Frank invested a total of $847,000 of his own money. His portfolio was worth $3.8 million. That's a $2.95 million gain. But here's the thing that broke my brain. Frank's average annual income over those 32 years was $58,000. He invested roughly 45% of his after-tax income. How? He never upgraded his lifestyle. When he got a raise from $52,000 to $58,000 in 1994, he didn't move to a bigger apartment. He invested the difference. When he paid off his car in 1998, he didn't buy a new one. He invested the former car payment. Frank's lifestyle in 2019 cost him about $2,800 per month. The same lifestyle in 1987 cost him about $1,400 per month adjusted for inflation. His lifestyle inflation was barely above actual inflation. I started my own 7-minute ritual the very next Sunday. March 17, 2019, I opened my own blue notebook. I wrote, portfolio $138,246. Excited and nervous. Committing to Frank's system. The first year was psychological torture. I wanted to check my portfolio every day. I wanted to read financial news. I wanted to optimize, to find better investments, to beat the market. But I stuck to the system. 7 minutes. Every Sunday. That's it. Then came 2020, the year that tested everyone. On March 15, 2020, my portfolio had dropped from $198,000 to $146,000 in 3 weeks. I was down $52,000. My hands were shaking as I wrote in my notebook. But the system said buy. So I bought. The next Sunday, down another $8,000. The system said buy. I bought. By the end of 2020, my portfolio was at $287,000. I had invested $64,000 that year. The market recovery added another $85,000. But here's what nobody tells you. The real wealth wasn't built in the recovery. It was built in the collapse. Those shares I bought in March and April 2020 at massive discounts are now up over 180%. Fast forward to today, February 2026. My portfolio is worth $4.2 million. I've personally contributed $1.1 million over 7 years. The rest is compound growth and dividends. My income has grown to $240,000, but my lifestyle costs $5,400 a month. Everything else gets systematically invested every Sunday at 8 p.m. 7 minutes. Every week. For 7 years. That's 364 sessions, or about 42 hours total. 42 hours to build $4.2 million. That's $100,000 per hour of actual work. Show me a job that pays that. So here's what you need to understand. The 7-minute ritual works because of 3 principles that go against everything modern finance tries to sell you. Principle 1. Consistency beats optimization. Frank never found the perfect investment. He never timed the market correctly. He never picked winning stocks. He just showed up every single week for 32 years. I've shown up every week for 7 years. The compound effect of consistency is exponentially more powerful than the occasional brilliant decision. Most people spend hours researching the perfect stock, the perfect entry point, the perfect strategy. Then they execute once or twice and disappear. The 7-minute ritual forces you to show up weekly regardless of how you feel, regardless of what the market is doing, regardless of what financial gurus are saying. Principle 2. Emotional documentation prevents stupid decisions. This is the part everyone skips. Writing down how you feel creates a historical record of your emotional state during different market conditions. When you go back and read your entries from previous crashes, you realize something profound. You always feel like this time is different. In March 2020, I genuinely believed the economy might collapse. Reading Frank's entries from 2008, 2001, 1987, I saw the exact same fear. But the system doesn't care about feelings. The system just says, do you have capital above your safety threshold? Yes? Then buy. This removes the emotional decision-making that destroys wealth. You're not brave or contrarian when you buy during a crash. You're just following the system. Principle 3. Lifestyle discipline is the real wealth multiplier. This is the hardest truth. Frank's $3.8 million wasn't built by investment genius. It was built by living on $2,800 a month for 3 decades while earning $58,000 a year. My $4.2 million wasn't built by picking winners. It was built by living on $5,400 a month while earning $240,000 a year. The gap between earning and spending is where wealth lives. The 7-minute ritual forces you to calculate that gap every single week. You can't hide from it. You can't pretend. The math is right there in your notebook. Here's how you start your own 7-minute wealth ritual tonight. Get a physical notebook, not an app, not a spreadsheet, a notebook. There's something powerful about writing by hand. Choose your day and time. I do Sundays at 8 p.m. Frank does Sundays at 7 p.m. Pick whatever works but make it sacred. No exceptions. Sick? Still do it. Vacation? Still do it. Market closed? Still do it. You just skip the buying step. Set your safety buffer. This is your monthly expenses multiplied by 2 or 3, kept in a high-yield savings account. For me, that's $16,000. Everything above that is investable. Choose your investment. I recommend starting simple like Frank, a total market index fund like VTI or VTSAX. You can get more sophisticated later, but start simple. The goal is to remove decisions, not add them. Then execute the 7 minutes. Minute 1, record portfolio value. Minute 2, write how you're feeling. Minutes 3 through 5, calculate available capital above your safety buffer. Minute 6, if you have capital available, buy your chosen investment. No analysis, no waiting, just buy. Minute 7, write your plan for next week. Close the notebook. Done. The first few weeks will feel weird. You'll want to do more. You'll want to check your portfolio during the week. Resist. The power is in the constraint. 7 minutes. Once a week. That's the entire system. After a few months, something shifts. You stop thinking about money during the week. You stop checking financial news. You stop worrying about market crashes. Because you know that Sunday at 8 p.m., you'll deal with it. Whatever's happening, the system handles it. Frank is 75 now. His notebook has 1,872 entries. His portfolio is worth $6.3 million. He still drives that 2011 Civic. He still wears those 3 flannel shirts. And every Sunday at 7 p.m., he spends exactly 7 minutes doing the same thing he's done since 1987. That's the secret. There is no secret. Just a simple system, executed consistently, over a long period of time. 7 minutes a week, 52 weeks a year. For as many years as you can. That's how ordinary people build extraordinary wealth. Not through genius, not through luck, through showing up, every single week, for the rest of your life. Starting tonight.